Before I bring up Orly to share some words with us, I just need to state what should be obvious, which is that it's really impossible to overstate how important our reform movement here is in America and how important the reform movement is in Israel to us, to Jews in Israel and to Jews here. We look so much to our leaders in the reform movement for guidance, and this is just as true, maybe perhaps more true now than it has ever been. And so we're honored to be able to welcome Orly. Orly holds a bachelor's degree in law from Tel Aviv University. After interning at the Supreme Court, she got a master's degree in law with a focus on human rights law at Columbia University in New York. She is a member of the Bar Association in Israel and in New York. Orly has served as an attorney at Israel Religious Action Center, IRAC, since 2004 as the director of the legal department from 2014 to 2022 and director of IRAC since 2021. Orly has brought about significant legal achievements such as making gender segregation on public transportation illegal, ending the Orthodox monopoly on state-funded salaries to rabbis, filing and winning the first ever class action suit regarding exclusion of women, and disqualifying racist candidates from running for Israel's parliament, among, I'm sure, many other accomplishments she is racking up as we speak. So, Orly, thank you for sharing some words with us.
Hello, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you. So, as we heard this week, we begin reading the book of Leviticus, a text known for its detailed description of, among other things, animal sacrifices, which can be challenging for modern-day readers. But Leviticus also contains key commandments that form the foundation of our shared Jewish values. You shall not stand idly by when the blood of your neighbor is at stake. These powerful words immediately evoke the most urgent mission for us today, bringing back all of the hostages. As the Shulchan Aruch states, every moment one delays the redemption of captives, it is as if they shed their blood. Another powerful verse found in Leviticus is, when a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And above all, the powerful and enduring principle, love your neighbor as yourself. These commandments guide our work at the Israel Religious Action Center, an organization committing to advancing justice, equality, tolerance, and pluralism in Israel, grounded in our Jewish tradition. For years, we have fought against discrimination based on race, religion, and gender, battles that have only grown more urgent in the past 2 years. I'd now like to share some stories of our recent struggles with you. We believe that there is more than one way to be Jewish in the Jewish state, and people should have the freedom to choose how to express their Judaism. One of our most recent struggles involves the Reform congregation in Holon, a town south of Tel Aviv. In Israel, where there is no separation between religion and state, the municipality allocates land to build synagogues. Holon has 77 Orthodox synagogues, but not a single Reform one. The city's only egalitarian congregation, serving thousands of Holon residents, has been fighting for over a decade to secure land on which a proper synagogue could be built. We have represented them in court twice in recent years, eventually securing a court order requiring the municipality to allocate a land to the congregation. However, when the allocation process was nearly complete, the municipality halted it. We took the case back to court, and fortunately, the judge who heard the case last month ordered the municipality to reconsider its position. He will render a final decision soon, and we hope he will compel the municipality to allocate the land to the only Reform congregation in the city. We fight against the exclusion of women and against gender segregation in the public sphere. One of our current cases involves 10 teenagers, 5 boys and 5 girls, who took a bus to the Sea of Galilee during the summer vacation. While the boys boarded the bus and chose seats at the front of the bus, the driver ordered the girls to sit at the back and to cover themselves with scarves because he deemed their clothing not to be modest enough. This experience was deeply humiliating for them, prompting their parents to approach us for legal action against the bus company. We filed a complaint demanding compensation, and we are now currently negotiating with the company. And if we cannot reach an agreement, we will go to court. This case is part of a broader segment of our work dedicated to challenging and winning cases involving gender segregation. We have addressed incidents in which women and girls on public buses were ordered to the back of the bus, cases where flight attendants asked women to switch seats on airplanes because ultra-Orthodox passengers refused to sit next to them, cases where burial societies prevented women from eulogizing their loved ones or forced gender segregation at funerals, a case where an ultra-Orthodox radio station that did not allow any female voice to be heard on the station was heard, and we abolished this exclusion, and cases where ultra-Orthodox individuals vandalized images of women on billboards. Each of these cases represents our ongoing commitment to fighting for gender equality and against the marginalization of women in Israeli society. One of our core missions is to combat all forms of racism, particularly those that attempt to justify prejudice using Judaism, because racism is not our Judaism. Our Racism Crisis Center provides advice and legal assistance to victims of racism. A few years ago, Get, which is the Israeli equivalent of Uber, began offering its customers in Jerusalem the option of cabs that do not operate on Shabbat, but it was actually just a covert racist tactic to ensure that the cab would be driven by a Jewish rather than a Palestinian driver. We took the case to court, and as a result, this discriminatory practice or service stopped to exist, and the company committed to compensate 2,000 Palestinian cab drivers from East Jerusalem who had been affected by this practice. Since October 7th, there has been a dramatic increase in racist incidents in Israel, including, for instance, the case of a woman who was denied the ability to rent a car simply because she is Arab. We intervened, and as a result, the car rental agency apologized and compensated her. But our fight against racism goes beyond fighting individual cases of racism. We are committed to present the Israeli public with a vision of a shared society where both Jews and Arabs can live without discrimination. We initiate shared society events such as conferences and webinars, participate in marches for human rights, and encourage our many Israeli Reform congregations around the country to hold dialogue groups with Palestinian neighbors and interfaith holiday events. We firmly believe that offering an alternative vision to the racist policies of the current Israeli government is essential for a better future. We also stand with the LGBTQ community in the fight against discrimination and in advocating for equality. Recently, our legal efforts led to the abolition of the discriminatory practice that denied adoption rights from same-sex couples. It was incredibly moving when just a few weeks ago, Shai and Shacha, one of the couples we represented, adopted their first son, their son, the first gay couple in Israel to adopt a child since our legal victory. We also operate a legal aid center for Olim, for new immigrants, that supports thousands of new immigrants, including many refugees from Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus fleeing the war there. For instance, we had a 14-year-old girl who was a great-grandchild of a Jew. Under the law of return, she's not entitled to citizenship, and she was not allowed to actually unite with her parents and brother until we intervene, and she was allowed to come to Israel. We also assist dozens of foreign women who are victims of domestic violence, and they try to obtain Israeli citizenship through the marriage despite leaving their husband. They are in a risk of being deported, and we help them stay in Israel despite leaving their abusive husband and receive citizenship. As you see, most of our work is focused around the courts, as they are the only place that offers protection to marginalized groups, such as liberal Jews, women, LGBTQ individuals, and Palestinian citizens of Israel. In the past 2 years, the courts and other key institutions of our democracy have been under intense attack by the current extremist Israeli government. We are actively fighting the dangerous anti-democratic bills that the government seeks to pass. We do so both in the Knesset and on the streets under the slogan, defending Israeli democracy in the name of Judaism, because what the government is doing is neither democratic nor Jewish. The government's ongoing threat to our democracy is now centered on firing the Attorney General and the head of the Security Service. It is also trying to funnel billions of Israeli shekels to the ultra-Orthodox and settler sectors while neglecting the urgent needs of those most affected by October 7th and the ensuing war, such as hostages still held by Hamas and their families, bereaved families, IDF reservists who served for hundreds of days during the ongoing war, and those who have been evacuated from the south or north of the country. I know that you have faced incredibly difficult times as well, the rise in anti-Semitism since October 7th and the recent attacks on American democracy. And in this challenging period when both Israel and the US are under immense pressure, it's easy to feel helpless and overwhelmed. But right now, there is something very concrete you can do here in the US to help us in Israel. The elections for the World Zionist Congress, which I'm sure you've heard about, are happening as we speak here and will run, as you know, until May 4th. And now, this time, it's especially critical to vote because an ultra-Orthodox faction called Eretz HaKodesh is working to take control of the Zionist Congress with a specific goal of undoing many of our achievements. They essentially want to declare war on Israel as a democratic and liberal society. And if they succeed, they will cut funding to liberal Judaism and block our ability to protect the rights of the groups that we've been working to protect for so many years. In the past 2 years, we have seen firsthand the dangers of a far-right government in Israel, where ultra-Orthodox and ultra-nationalist parties hold enormous political power. We must ensure this does not happen in the Zionist Congress. And this is where you come in. By casting your vote in a simple process, you can make a difference and help us fight for a better Israel. So please, not only vote, but please encourage everybody you know to do so. Since October 7th, I've often reflected on the nature of hope, how it is most needed in the darkest times, but how difficult it is to find hope in moments like this. The late Rabbi Jonathan Sachs wrote that Judaism rejects tragedy in favor of hope, citing the verse in Leviticus where God promises that even if the people of Israel sin, he will not turn away. This teaches us that hope cannot be extinguished, no matter how dire the circumstances. The Israeli writer David Grossman also wrote profoundly about hope, and this is what he wrote. One could look at hope as a sort of anchor, cast from a stifled, desperate existence toward a better, freer future, toward the reality that does not yet exist, which is made up mostly of wishes, of imagination. When the anchor is cast, it takes hold of the future, and human beings, sometimes an entire society, begin to pull themselves toward it. It is an act of optimism. When we cast this imaginary anchor beyond our concrete, arbitrary circumstances, when we dare to hope, we are proving that there is still one place in our soul where we are free, a place that no one has been able to suppress. And thanks to this enclave of fearlessness, of freedom, in the souls of those who have hope, they know what the reality of freedom looks like. They also know how crucial it is to fight for it. These words may have seemed like they were written today, but in fact, they were penned during the height of the COVID pandemic. This alone shows us that our hope for a different future is possible and attainable. Leviticus holds this powerful promise: I will grant peace in the land, and you will lie down, and no one will make you afraid. We will continue to hope for peace, justice, and equality, and we will do everything in our power, together with you, to turn our hopes and aspirations into reality. Shabbat Shalom.